Okay, so I just want to record pretty much a product walkthrough just so that we can update the product documentation. So that way, when we're building out the latest DFSs, we aren't making bad assumptions. So yeah, you can see we've got the login page. It's grand. Issue is we're still using the old logo. Not a big deal because we're still refining the new logo. There is an issue here that there's no ability to go back to the login. Small thing, but probably needs to be fixed. Also, we don't do trials anymore. All of our customers we will onboard them, but again, we don't need to change any of that for now. It's not a priority. So we can log in. So the login flow is working fine. Okay. There should be a tan stack button here which is not appearing, so that's something that we should probably look at some point. The dashboard looks pretty good. View property portfolio works. Run monthly billing. It works within the finance hub, but there's no kind of like active tab there, which is weird, but whatever, it's not the end of the world. Then we've got the access to finance hub, cool. And then we've got the workspace settings. This is kind of, I don't think we need it there, right? So if you look at our UI, we've got kind of like personal information. There's your profile. There's your kind of workspace settings. So we don't need that, but again, it's a small thing. It's not urgent at that stage. So if we go to my profile, this works well enough at this stage. The change password's not working, although I don't think it's implemented. Edit profile's also not working, but again, not the end of the world at this stage. So workplace settings, this is pretty cool. The issue is you actually do have a time zone here, but it doesn't actually, when it loads, it doesn't interpret that time zone, so it shows the correct display time zone. Not the end of the world, but would be nice to have fixed at some point. Members, this is still broken, right? So we had a subscription model where you had a pro or a business plan, and then that kind of like locks out functionality. Now that we've pivoted to kind of doing this leaseor and leasee accounting with Retail Zoo, I have no idea what licensing will look like. So again, we should be able to recruit users without license issues, but yeah, and we're probably going to need to add some more roles within that. Yeah, not urgent at this stage until we actually start sending we probably will be inviting people fairly soon to play with this. So I'd imagine after DFS. That's actually probably the priority, is because once it's good enough at this stage for people to play on. So I think if we implement this, it should be a priority, probably one of the top priorities, because then it means I can invite people from Olympic and they can start playing around with the software themselves, which will give us some valuable feedback. Billing, again, I think we can just replace this with a placeholder for now. We have no idea what our billing looks like. Ultimately, it's up to Olympic, whether they want to charge Retail Zoo or if I do it on, we just don't know. Integrations, this is sick. Manage API keys, this is actually broken. There's an issue here. So what is it, a 404? So there's a route issue for that, but something we can look at. And then if we look at the Dynamics link, this I think is still working, but I need to spin up an environment in order to test it, a Dataverse environment, or get Olympic to give me credentials. Data objects is cool, although over here, this is all demo data, like dummy data, so we need to actually implement this so it works. One of the key things we'll need to do is, we enable sync, but we haven't set a calendar or anything about that sync. So the way I'm kind of thinking about this is we want to first demo this to Olympic. That's going to be the key. And then if they dig it, which I'm hoping they will, then ask them to spin up an Azure application for their test environment so that we can get access to the OData entities. So, and then once we've got access to a Dynamics environment, then we can start building this out. So I think that's when we request access, it's at that point that we need some form of written confirmation that any IP that I develop is owned by Demiton. I think that's critical. Cool. Okay, so that's all good. Then if we go to the work orders is cool. It's generally working pretty well actually. However, it is tailored towards waste. Okay, so we're going to have to change just the nomenclature there, I think. Yeah, that's really it. And this consumables will be quite sick actually. But yeah, cool. So we just need to change the label there to make it more generic for Retail Zoo. Cool, dig it. Then we have the register. Register's working pretty nicely. Like, I like this. It looks really nice. Contracts needs to be integrated. Yeah. Really, I think this should just be them uploading their contracts. We'll implement a large language model at some point, which will then be able to extract the data from that contract, rather than them having to do that. I just think that you have a cool little workflow here where you drop the contract in PDF form. It then sends that to a Gemini, instance running 2.5. That then interprets the contracts, pulls out all the relevant data as it applies to things, right? But like suggests things, because like for example, a contract would have like a price list. Yeah, I mean that's interesting too, right? Because to make something so like multifaceted as contracts into something that can then pull out structured data, I'm not sure if that's actually possible, but we'll see. Price lists. So price lists needs to be implemented. So really, the data model for price lists are like the API is already built, all of that stuff's built, but we just need to build in the UI for price lists. Work orders, you can see there all the work orders. Just needs to be, this UI needs to be implemented and linked to those work orders. Invoices. I don't think the data models are built for invoices. Properties. This is all dummy data, so I don't know if the API actually already exposes the property. We can have a look now. So if we look at property, yeah, actually, so we do have the property and leases API endpoints. So we just need to plug that in to here. This is cool. I really like this. Units and tenancies. Yeah, and then lease agreements. This is cool. Like, it's starting to really look nice. If you go view the details, there should be an ability here to create a lease. So if you look over here, there's no button to create a lease. It's just a table. And we probably need a create lease form. But yeah, like, this dummy data looks really nice, it looks super clean. Yeah, it's really coming along nicely. Products is working. I'm pretty happy with products at this stage. I think the only thing that we'd maybe change would be implementing the linked assets UI, and then the pricing information. Pricing information will be just the cost, but obviously each customer might have a different cost. So that needs to be implemented. Assets, pretty happy with assets, to be honest. Again, that's not done. Work orders needs to be done. Scheduled inspections and activity log, that all needs to be put in. People, I don't think people is actually working. Yeah, I think there's an issue with the network. Let me check. Yeah, Okay, so there's obviously a routing issue where it's not found in people. Suppliers is good. I like suppliers. It's pretty chilled. Supplier, I think there might be a bug. Yeah, looks like it at least. Yeah, and then the link documents. But generally, the register's looking pretty good. Um, yeah, it's pretty good. Could spend some time just like fixing that up and stuff. But like I said, it's generally pretty good. Finance. So chart of accounts needs to be able to be integrated, right? So chart of accounts is the first one, right? So we for Retail Zoo, we're not going to duplicate their chart of accounts. That's just stupid. So we have to then pull in the chart of accounts before we can actually define the post in profiles, which will then determine the journals and invoices that are generated from the properties, right? So if we think about like, really we would go run monthly billing, boom, 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 boom. This would spit everything out based upon all of the config, right? So before we can really do that, we need to integrate with Dynamics for the chart of accounts and the dimensions. So dimensions, the UI needs to be integrated or implemented. We haven't done that at all. Journals is looking pretty good. There's a lot of changes here. Like for example, when you add a manual journal, there's no ability here to put in a financial dimension. But again, looks pretty good. That's where the application is at now. So really, the key thing is, I guess, strategically, we want to be able to demo this to Olympic in order to get access to a Dynamics environment where we can talk to the OData endpoints. So we need Olympic to do that. So I want to demo the current application of Demiton to show them what the next steps are. If they then agree to give us the OData endpoints, well then at that point I would like the verbal agreement in terms of that Demiton owns all this intellectual property.